Okay, hi everyone. My name is Jessica Valdez. I'm going to be your employee benefits consultant for the 2021 to the 2022 plan year. We have made some changes that are going to be effective September 1st. So everyone should have gotten an email from Ease. It should have been from Dara, and I'll pop it up to show you what it looks like. But you're going to have an online portal where there you're going to be able to enroll, to waive, and you're going to have access to all of your documents that have anything to do with your benefits, including links to how to search for providers, the complete benefit summaries, links to how to create your portal. So I will review that after we review the benefits. So the first thing I want to do is introduce you to our team. Some of you have already met some of us. So one thing that I like to reiterate is that we have a claims concierge team. What does that mean? I wish the insurance worked the way that it should, but we know that sometimes there's a little bumps along the road. So if you ever have an issue with a medication, you have an issue because you need an authorization, it's not getting approved, you get a bill that you feel is incorrect, our claims team is here to assist you. You could either call us at our office if it's between office hours, 8 to 5 p.m., or you could just send a quick email to claims at FD National saying, hey, I got this bill, can you please let me know if it's correct? And they'll let you know, hey, it's right, you need to pay this amount because of this, or hey, it's wrong, we're working on reprocessing it for you. And we also have our service team. If you have any questions on your benefits, on finding a doctor, ordering an ID card, you could always reach out to them and they could assist with that. And we also have everything linked to your portal. So let's jump into the benefits. So we are switching this year from AvMed to Neighborhood Health Partnership. So we have 3 different plan options and 2 different gaps. I know gap is a new concept. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over this base plan and then I'll stop for questions. Okay. So the base plan is going to be this neighborhood plan, and 13th floor is going to include this $4,000 gap for you. So I'm going to go side by side of when the gap would work for you. Okay, so you go to your PCP, you have a copayment of $30. If you're going for your preventative visit, there's no pay, it's a $0. Specialist, a copay of $55. Same thing, if you're going for your gynecologist, it will be $0 for your annual visit. Virtual visits are $0. I strongly recommend utilizing virtual visits. Not only are they free, but they're also a time saver. You could do it from the comfort of your home or your office, and the doctor can prescribe you through the phone. So definitely recommend using virtual visits for minor things such as, coughs or sore throats or rashes, anything that you could kind of show over the phone. I recommend using the virtual visit. Then there's the Minute Clinic, that's $30. Those are in your CVS. I see them in Target and Navarro. If you go online, you Google Minute Clinic, you put your zip code, it'll show you the closest one to you, and even put your spot in line. So there's 2 things that the gap doesn't cover. The first thing that the gap doesn't cover are your doctor visits. So what I went over are considered doctor visits: your PCP, your specialist, your virtual visit, and your Minute Clinic. Then, and the second thing it doesn't cover are your medications, okay? So we're gonna get into what does the gap cover. So the gap is like having 2 gift cards. You're gonna have $4,000 to use towards outpatient services. And then you're gonna have $4,000 to use towards inpatient services. So that means that you're in the hospital for more than 23 hours. So the gap does cover treatment in the doctor's office, certain treatments. So before you have it done, you could call our office and say, hey, the doctor wants to do this. Would it be covered by the gap? Just so that you could have an idea. But for example, if I go to the dermatologist, I have a copayment of $55. If I have to do a biopsy at the doctor's office, they apply it to my deductible, but the gap would cover it. So I show my gap card, I show my NHP card, and I would pay $0. So now I'm going to go into the other services that the gap covers. If you go to the ER, you have a $350 copay. I show my neighborhood card. I show my gap card. I do that $4,000 minus $350. I pay $0 at that ER visit, and then I have that remaining balance for the calendar year. Same thing with the urgent care. It's a $60 copay. I show my gap card, $4,000 minus $60. I have that remaining balance for the remainder of the year. I'm going to skip inpatient just so we could stay on that first $4,000, which are your outpatient services. So that's going to be treatment in the doctor's office, your ER, your urgent care, your outpatient surgery. So you have a $5,000 deductible. Why did we just decide to offer a $4,000 gap? To essentially reduce your deductible to $1,000 and reduce your out-of-pocket to $2,350, which it was way higher with your previous base plan. So if I have an outpatient surgery, and let's say it costs $5,000, I would show my NHP card, I would show my GAP card, and in the worst case scenario, I would only pay $1,000, the difference between the 5,000 and the 4,000. If the outpatient surgery is 3,000, you pay nothing. The GAP covers it completely. Your minor diagnostics, those are x-rays, lab work, that can range between $50 to $300, depending what the x-ray is or the type of lab work you have done. The GAP would cover, you have $4,000 to cover that. And then when it comes to major services, you have MRIs, PET scans, CAT scans, that can range between $300 to $500, depending on what major diagnostic it is, but you have $4,000 to cover that. So right now, I just went over this first 4,000, the outpatient services. Now, if I am admitted into the hospital, it's the same scenario. I have $4,000. So without the GAP, I would have to meet a $5,000 deductible, and then I'd pay 30% until I reach my out-of-pocket of $6,350. That's a big chunk of change. But with the GAP, I have $4,000 to apply towards my deductible, and I get the $6,350 minus the $4,000. And in the worst case scenario, if I'm hospitalized, I'm paying $2,350. That's way less exposure than the base plan that you guys had previously. So we are offering two different GAP options. So you're probably wondering, why are you offering the two? At the end of the day, it's a personal choice how much insurance you want. So if you get the $6,000 GAP, in your worst case scenario, do the $6,350 minus the $6,000. In the worst case scenario, meaning you go to the ER, you're hospitalized, you have 2 outpatient surgeries. In the worst case scenario, you're only paying $350 out of pocket for any outpatient or inpatient service. So for example, if you know that your spouse is gonna have a delivery this year, if you know that you are gonna have an outpatient surgery this year and you're gonna do a few diagnostics, then it might make sense to buy up the GAP. So 13th floor is gonna offer this combination 100% for employees, 50% for dependents, but they also wanted to give you the flexibility that if you did want to buy up, you could buy up to the $6,000. Before I jump into medications, just looking at major benefits, because I know that this is that was a lot. Do you have any questions? No? Okay. We could continue going, and if any questions come up, you can let me know. So your prescription drug benefit is you have up to $10 for generic, up to $60 for preferred brand, up to $150 for non-preferred, and up to $300 for specialty. I know that if you take any medications, you're not sure, is it preferred brand or generic, you can email our claims team and they can let you know what tier it falls under. With NHP, they are no longer provider for Walgreens, so you can use all the other pharmacies besides Walgreens. Something that I've realized is that Publix actually has the lowest cost for medications. So for example, I had to get a medication the other day and it was, I think, like $200 at Walgreens and it was $40 at Publix. So if you're trying to budget, you could look on GoodRx and see the difference in the pricing in the pharmacies, but we have come to notice that Publix has the lowest pricing. This base plan is a POS, meaning that you could leave the network. If you leave the network, you have a deductible of $10,000 and an out-of-pocket of $20,000. The GAP could be applied to your out-of-network deductible or out-of-pocket. I recommend, if you're leaving the network to see a doctor and the doctor charges you $200, they'll just apply it to this deductible. So really the biggest benefit of a POS is if, God forbid, there's a very serious diagnosis and you want to go see a doctor in another state that takes no insurance, then you have some coverage. You have some coverage out of network. So this is plan 1. So you're either going to pick the base plan with the 4,000, or you're going to pick the base plan with the 6,000. So then we're offering a second plan that is identical to the first one. The only difference is that this plan has a, sorry.
Sorry.
Do you have a question?
No, sorry.
Okay. So the second plan is a national network. So this second plan is going to have the same exact benefits. You could pick the same exact gap options. However, if you want to have the flexibility that if you're traveling in New York, you could see a provider in New York, or you, let's say, you know, you spend summer somewhere else and you want to make sure that you have a network in another state, this plan has a national network. One thing I pointed out to Tim is that for emergency, so sometimes people say, what if, you know, I'm skiing and I break a leg? So with this base plan, that's just a Florida network, which is how your admin plans were before. With this base plan, if you have an emergency or life-threatening situation where you have to go into an emergency room in any state or even worldwide, the emergency room visit will be processed as in network because it was an emergency or life-threatening situation. So realistically, the only reason you would pick this